Hi, my name is Candy Bailey, and I'm here to present my research topic and potential thesis. I would like to examine eating disorder prevalence among female collegiate athletes participating in individually competing sports and team sports. The eating disorder prevalence reported in female collegiate athletes is alarmingly high. This includes anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorders, and eating disorders not otherwise specified. Symptoms include calorie restriction, binging and purging, excessive exercise, and many other symptoms that are not easily recognized. It is important to understand and recognize disordered eating so that as a healthcare professional like myself, I can provide adequate care to individuals suffering from these illnesses. Treatment oftentimes includes self-help programs, cognitive behavioral therapy sessions, and other sessions to understand the one-on-one and the multi-dimensions of the illness. Eating disorders are considered biopsychosocial illnesses, so they have multifaceted aspects. They are very in-depth, and they're very hard to treat. Most current research has examined athletes in comparison to general populations, non-athletes of their same age group, same gender, and oftentimes other genders. The female collegiate athlete is more susceptible to eating disorders than their compared groups of non-athletic collegiate population of females and males and male collegiate athletes. So all other collegiate athletes, all other collegiate populations have a less likely chance of developing an eating disorder as compared to the female collegiate athletes that I work with. It's very important that I can recognize and help treat these disorders in the people that I work with. That's why it's such a topic for me that is of interest. Most of the current research uses questionnaires and self-report surveys such as the psychological screening test, eating disorder inventory, bulimia test, revised bulimia test, and the eating pathology symptoms inventory. All of these are very reliable and very valid tests I would like to use potentially in my thesis. The gaps of the current research comes a lot from the comparison of athletes to non-athletes and athletes to male athletes. That's what's out there now. I want to look at and fill the gaps of athletes to athletes. I want to look at individually competing sports to team sports. This would include sports like cheer and dance, diving, swimming. Then there's any kind of weight class sport, so rowing, equestrian, those things that are concerned with weight classes. Participation in individual sports puts more pressure on the female athlete, whether the pressure comes from, like I said, weight classification, uniform choice with gymnastics or cheerleading, dance, diving, swimming, those sorts of things. And then stereotyped body images. So we expect divers to look a certain way, we expect gymnasts to look a certain way. That puts a lot of pressure on female athletes. Pressure can also come from coaches, teammates, peers, other athletes, not on your team but in the division, what you expect your peers to look like around you. Those sorts of things can also create a lot of pressure on the athletes to fit a certain stereotyped image, and that can help add to the pressure and therefore leads to the development of eating disorders. I would like to conduct a survey of female athletes at an NCAA collegiate sport, whichever division, a set division, preferably Division II, because it's less media. I want to see what they think triggers their development. I want to randomly select one sport from each of the division or each of the schools represented in that division. I want to use self-report surveys, but internet surveys, so that they can do it on their own time in the convenience and the most discreet way possible. And I want to see the results from that and see if I can correlate which teams have the most prevalence? So is it individually competing sports like we're talking about, the cheer and dance, the diving, the swimming, or is it softball, soccer, basketball, those who are team aspects? I want to look at which sports have the most prevalence, which ones have the greatest risk of potentially developing eating disorders. That's my potential thesis idea. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and thank you for listening.